Hello everyone. In today's lecture we will be beginning with Unit 2, Chapter 4, that is Law Reforms. Reform means a big change. The first topic of this chapter is need for law reform. There is a strong relationship between law and society. Law has to be dynamic. It cannot afford to be static, means fixed. In fact, law and society act and react upon each other. So you see, law reform, as we have read in the previous chapters, I have told you also that law is something which keeps on changing with due respect to time. As time changes, the mentality, the thinking, the way the people think, that also keeps on changing, because of which some cultures, some traditions or some laws become obsolete, and it is required that either there is an amendment into those existing laws or they are removed and new ones are brought in place of them. Why? Because some cultures or some laws become obsolete with the course of time. As we saw, like the broad thinking of people in our country only, they brought about many social reforms. Social reforms means reforms in the society, in the lives of the people living in the society. So there were many social reformers who brought about different movements. Sati practice was abolished. Then the child remarriage, the widow remarriage was brought, right? So all these social reforms took place in Indian society, and that's why. So why this has happened? Because with due course of time, people realized that these cultures are wrong and they need to be removed to bring about the change and to bring about a better life for the people. So similar is the case of law also. Some laws with respect to time, they become obsolete, and it is required with due thinking and whatever the people of that society think. As per that, there is a requirement that the existing law should, there would be some changes in the existing law, or the old ones will be removed and new ones are brought in their place. Now, law reform is the process by which law is adapted and advanced over a period of time, responding to changing social values and priorities. So, as I told you, over a period of time, the law adapts to the changes that had taken place in the mindset of the people, and adapting means some changing in the existing law or the old ones completely removed and new one brought in its place. So the law advances and adapts to the changes as it takes place over a span of time. Law cannot remain stagnant. Law has to respond to social concerns and provide amicable solutions to problems that keep coming up before the society. Whatever problems the people are facing, law has to be framed according to act as a solution to that problem. Okay, if there are so many thefts or robbery taking place in the society, then it is required that a law has to be framed which will penalize this wrongful act, and punishment will be provided to the people who will perform this act in the future from the date when the law will come into force. So, whatever the problems people are facing, according to that, law has to be framed from time to time. It has to respond to social, economic or technological developments. Law reforms also help to shape democracies to suit changing political and legal environments. Different political parties come and go. There are different political situations. There are different societal conditions. As we know that there is a lot of change which has taken place thanks to the science and technology, the development of technology, that we have so many changes when we compare today's era to the ancient India or to the ancient world, if I talk about. So that is because of the technological advancements, obviously. So according to that, now if everything around us is changing, like due to technology we have computers, we have internet network over it, and because of that people find some or the other way out to do a crime. If we have computer, there is e-banking facilities, e-commerce facilities. You can pay any of your bill through internet at the tap of a button. But then the people find out the way to do cyber crimes. And for that now we have cyber law to protect the people from cyber crimes. That's why it is said, don't give your OTPs or pins to anybody else or to a stranger. Don't give your OTPs to anybody. So people find a way out to do some or the other thing. Technological advancement has taken place. We have computers, we have e-commerce, e-banking facilities. So now what is happening? What wrong is happening in this? Cybercrime has taken place. So now there has to be a law which will regulate or which will penalize that cybercrime. That means, I think the things are getting clear. What I am trying to explain, that is clear, I hope. Because as time is changing, technological advancement, computer, now law has to be framed according to that situation, because now there is a problem in front of people, that is a lot of cyber crimes are taking place now. So considering that, now a legislation has to be framed. So that is what? Law has to be framed to provide a solution to the problem that is in front of the people, and it is not fixed. It may happen with new problems, new legislations need to be framed. Law reform is not a one-time process. Any reform, I tell you, any reform doesn't take place instantly. It is a very long and gradual process that a reform happens. Law reforms in India can be broadly classified. So law reforms in India can be categorized into two periods, pre-independent India and post-independent India law reforms. Before the advent means arrival. Before the advent of British rule, Indian society was by and large governed by its customary law, either based on Hindu Dharam Shastra or Islamic religious scripts. So whatever the Hindu religious or cultural law said, or whatever the Islamic religion law said, according to that the people in the society were living. They were very much obeying those rules or those customs which were mentioned in their respective religions. These customary laws were followed by rulers and the ruled. Customary laws were considered as rigid and adverse to the idea of social change. Means sometimes these customs were only abolished. That sati was a type of custom. Widows will not be allowed to marry again. That was a sort of custom. So these were removed by the social reforms that took place. So these were basically considered to be very fixed कि हम अपनी प्रथाओं को नहीं बदल सकते. तुम्हें प्रथा के हिसाब से बदलना होगा. If you see any such serial, any historic serial or anything which shows pre-independent India era, you will find that वो लोग अपनी प्रथाओं, अपने कल्चर, ट्रेडिशन को बहुत ही फिक्स्ड और बहुत ही रिजिड मानते थे. And it was followed by one and all. The people, the king, everyone was following it like what it is. East India Company introduced the Western legal system as well as legal reforms in India. Britishers came to India. According to them, their Western culture, their Western legal system came to India, and so there were many types of legal reforms that took place in the Indian society. Prior to the First War of Independence, East India Company ruled India under the permission of British Crown, and later on the British Crown governed India till 1947. So what is this? Before First War of Independence, East India Company was ruled directly from England, from a British Crown that was in England. But when this First War of Independence, that is Sepoy Mutiny, took place in the year 1857, Britishers got a realization that Indians can also revolt. If they are not just made for tolerating all the tortures that the rulers or the Britishers are doing upon them, they can also react. They can also give a huge and sparking reaction. They can also fight for their rights, for their freedom. When the Britishers realized these things, कि वो भी बगावत कर सकते हैं, they can also revolt, they have this ability, they are competent to do this. Then they make that IPC, first of all, that was made by Lord Macaulay in 1860. IPC, because war is something where so many murders or so many deaths, destruction takes place, right? So IPC, Indian Penal Code, for classifying the types of crimes, the various crimes, definitions, punishments related to the crime, that all is mentioned in 1860, which was laid down by Lord Macaulay, and this was in the year 1860. So after this 1857 revolt, 3 years after, this was framed. So this was a type of legal reform that happened in India, that now British Crown came to India and ruled it till 1947. During the British Raj, there were major changes in political, economic, administrative and legal fields. Modern codes were established by enactment of various acts such as Regulating Acts, the Government of India Act 1935, etc. So various acts, various legislations came, and by which the Supreme Court or the federal courts were established in India. Well accepted principles of English law like justice, equity, good conscience were used by courts for their decisions. So the legal principles were also so much influenced by the Western culture. Their system of practicing justice for all, equality and good conscience, their all principles were also implemented in the courts of India. British administrators like Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of India, please remember, sometimes this direct question comes up, that who was the first Governor General of India? So you need to remember, the answer is Warren Hastings. Cornwallis, a British Army officer and colonial administrator, served as a civil and military governor in India and known for his contribution to policy for permanent settlement, and William Bentinck, a British statesman who served as Governor General of India from 1828 to 1835, played crucial roles in improving civil and criminal justice system in pre-independent India. So you see, Britishers had a very important role for improving the legal system in our country, and also to bring about some needed legal reforms of that time in the country. You see, various names are given. Warren Hastings, who was the first Governor General of India. Cornwallis, he brought about the permanent settlement system. Now you need to search what this permanent settlement system is all about. William Bentinck, he was a very important part to improve the civil and criminal justice system. Then a major milestone in law reform during British Raj was establishment of Law Commission. First Law Commission was established in 1834, that is under the British Raj. with the Charter Act of 1833 under chairmanship of Thomas Babington Macaulay. Now remember this, he is only what I said just now, Lord Macaulay, यही है वो, ठीक है. सो यू नीड टू रिमेंबर फर्स्ट लॉ कमीशन भी इन्होंने बनाया था और आईपीसी भी लॉर्ड मैकाले ने ही लिखा था फॉर इंडिया, इंडियन पीनल कोड. आईपीसी स्टैंड्स फॉर इंडियन पीनल कोड. सो फर्स्ट लॉ कमीशन 1834 बाय चार्टर एक्ट ऑफ 1833. 1833 में चार्टर एक्ट में बोला कि हम फर्स्ट लॉ कमीशन बनाएंगे, तो एक साल बाद 1834 में फर्स्ट कमीशन बना दिया. एंड इट वॉज अंडर थॉमस बैगिंटन मैकॉले हु इज popularly known as Lord Macaulay. Major contribution of this law commission was recommendation on codification of penal code and criminal procedure code. As I told you, penal code is nothing but IPC, which was framed by him, this person only. Thereafter, second, third and fourth law commissions came up in 1853, 1861, 1879 respectively. See, the further ones are not much important, it's just a sort of knowledge that you may or may not have, depending upon the type of questions that your school may put up. But the first thing, the first and last thing or the current thing is always considered important. So when did the first law commission was established, under the chairmanship of whom, by which act, that all becomes very, very important. First things are always important in any kind of examination. Indian Code of Civil Procedure 1908, Indian Contract Act 1872. Now you see the years of all these acts. These were made during the British rule only. Indian Evidence Act 1872, Transfer Property Act 1882 are major contributions of these above law commissions. Now we come on to post-independent India. Freedom brought the winds of change and an ideological shift in post-colonial India. Earlier, we were working upon the ideologies or principles of the Britishers because they were the rulers. But now Britishers have gone. Now Indians were only ruling the Indians. So whatever the ideologies, whatever the principles were used to rule, to govern, to administer, that was totally our own, that was of the Indians. So from Britishers to Indians, there was a shift in the ideologies or principles that were now needed to implement. This change was very much visible in the field of law reform. In independent India, newly enacted constitution and principles enshrined under it were the main guiding sources of law. It is till now also, till date, the principles mentioned in the constitution, and the constitution itself is considered to be the supreme law-making body of the country. Fundamental rights, fundamental duties, DPSPs are the basis of any social change. After independence, Constitution under Article 372 recognized the pre-constitutional laws, means the laws which were made before the Constitution was framed. And obviously before the Constitution, that were very much to be those legislations which were framed during the British rule. However, there were demands from various quarters to have a fresh look at the colonial laws. So many framers demanded that we are implementing those colonial laws, but we ourselves also need to review it once, that in how manner we need to implement it. Responding to feeling of Indian masses, government constituted the first Law Commission of India under the chairmanship of the then Attorney General Mr. M.C. Stilwar. M.C. Stilwar was the first Attorney General of India. As I said just now, first things are very, very important from each and every examination point of view. So remember this thing. And first Law Commission of Independent India was under the chairmanship of M.C. Stilwar. First Law Commission of India as such under the British rule was under the chairmanship of Lord Macaulay. Understand the difference and learn them. Since then, 20 law commissions have been constituted. Be updated with your knowledge. As many as 243 reports have been submitted by law commissions till 2012. 20th Law Commission has been set up by government in 2013 under chairmanship of Justice D.K. Jain. Please be updated. In 2020 or 2021, which number law commission is in force right now? Who is the head of that commission? Read about it. Term of 20th Law Commission. Okay, this is something which is outdated information, I may say. Now you see, this is a table which subject of the report, Law Commission, and year in which these reports were submitted. You look into it, nothing to explain in this, so I am not reading it separately. A survey of subject of tabulated reports reflects the wide range of issues that Law Commission of India has dealt with. So there were various issues, and to address them we had these law commissions which were made at various spans of time. You also search that what is the term of a law commission. जो भी law commission बनता है वो कितने साल तक रहता है? What is the term? You also find out that, okay? And who is the head of it, and what is the number of current law commission. It indicates that government is equally aware and concerned about need for timely reform in laws in order that law may respond to changing needs of society. We well know that by now that law is not something which has to remain fixed for forever. Law keeps on changing with the changing needs of society or with the span of time. So the framing of these law commissions indicates that government is also aware about the fact that with the changing requirements there should be different legislations and new legislations should be framed. In recent years, economic reforms have brought about many changes, new categories of crimes including white collar crimes. Now I tell you what this term mean. White collar crime is something or some crime which is done by the high rank officials. You see, high rank officials generally wear white shirts, and white shirts have white collars over them. So like it can be a sort of bribery or the corruption practices that they get indulged in. So those high rank officials, when they do some sort of crime, the economic related crime, that can be called as white collar crime. Crime against women, everybody knows this. And economic inequality means there is unequal distribution of salary at the same post to a person who is man and to a woman. So that is economic inequality, unequal way of distributing wealth among the masses. In particular, have to be tackled on an urgent basis. Law Commission therefore occupies a central role in law reforms in India. Now this chapter is done, and then in the next coming video we will be starting off with the chapter 5 of unit 2. I am gonna end the video here.